Hi everyone, welcome to lesson 2 where we're going to be doing estimating square root. Just a reminder about the definition of square root. So it's one of two equal factors of a number, and the square root of 81 is 9 because 9, a number times itself, is 81. 9 squared is 81. Again, remember we're going to start writing it in this form. Saves us a little time. And again, the square root sign, 81, square root 81 equals 9. Okay, what's going to happen next is they're going to ask us to find the square root of numbers that aren't perfect squares. I've included the hundreds chart here with the perfect squares going down the diagonal just to help us decide what numbers to choose. So we're going to use the example of square root of 60. Okay, now I'm going to look at the numbers here to find out what's on either side of 60, and I find 49 and 84. So I'll write it like this for now to explain. And 84. Okay, so 60 is in between those two numbers. I know the square root of 49 is 7 and the square root of 84 is 8. So I know that the square root of 60 is going to be in between 7 and 8. So it will be a decimal number. Now this is where we're going to do guess and check. I'm going to start in the middle at 7.5, and I'm going to find out what that is. I will allow calculators because this will make your process a little faster. This squared is 56.25. That's not close enough to 60, so I'm going to go higher to 7.9. I'm doing this on my calculator on the side here. I get 62.41. I'm way over. So let's try 7.7. So this is your guess and check method, and this is the method you'll use to do this. 7.7 is 59.29. I feel like that's going to be the closest, but sorry, my pen went a little crazy. So I'm going to check 7.9 times itself, or sorry, 7.8, just to make sure that I am definitely as close as I can be. So 7.8 times itself is 60.84. That's too high. There's only certain times where you can go over, and this number definitely can't be an 8. It has to be a 0. Okay, so this is my answer right here. I know that the square root of 60 is approximately, I'm going to use these wavy lines, 7.7. Don't put squared, all right, because I'm doing whole numbers here. Another way to write approximately is 2 lines with a dot on top. I prefer this because I can see the squiggles better than your dot sometimes. So I don't want it to, it's definitely not equal, it's approximately equal to. All right, on this next page, we're going to decide what the numbers will be, whole numbers, will be on either side of these square roots. Okay, so we're not doing the full process like the last page, we're just deciding on what falls in between. So square root of 60, I'm going to find here 49 and 84, 60, we just did this one. So we know that it's 7 and 8. All right, square root of 22 falls between 16 and 25, and I'm pulling these whole numbers. So 4 and 5. 54 is in between 6 and 7. 7 is between 2 and 3. Square root 20 is between 4 and 5. So I would just be taking these numbers and putting in those decimals to find the exact amount, but this is just a practice to find these numbers. Now they're going to ask, let's put these on a number line. It does say show your work on the whiteboard. I use this as a pod in my class for kids, so just ignore that for now. Now when you look at all these, I'm hoping you're seeing that they are absolutely perfect squares. I just have to change back to my mouse here, so that I'm not writing on the board and I can drag the numbers. Okay, let's just pick a random one. 49. I know 49 is 7 times 7, so that's exactly where the square root of 49 goes on your number line. 100 is 10. 1 is 1. Hopefully you know these off by heart, or they're getting to know these off by heart. And you don't need the numbers chart for the whole numbers. But if you do, by all means use it. I'll have a printout available for you after the lesson that's connected to your assignment. And you can see where I've placed all these. 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, so that's what they would look like on the number line. They should be exactly on the line, so just give me the benefit of the doubt on that one. Okay, next page. So these ones aren't perfect squares. Okay, so this screen, they aren't perfect squares, and this is where we have to go back to our estimating. So let's pick the number 7. Square root of 7. I know 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 3 is 9, so I know it goes in here, in between here somewhere. I can't just plunk it down and say, I'm done. It's about there somewhere. I have to actually show the work. So let's do that. I just need to switch back to my pen here. Okay, so if this was your assignment, I would have you do the work down here underneath. But because I don't have the space, I'll just do it up beside here. Okay, so like I said, it's between 2 and 3, right? The square root of 7, because 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 3 is 9. So I'm going to start in the middle like I did last time and go 2.5 squared. And calculator again, you can probably hear my clicks. That's 6.25. So I know I need to go higher. I'm going to go 2.7. See what that gives me. 7.29. Okay, that went over. So I'm pretty sure I know what it is. Let's go 2.6. Let's see what that yields me. There I have 6.76. Now because I've done both on each side, I know for sure this is my answer. Alright, so then I would take it and I'd put it on the number line. As close as I can get. I was actually pretty close here, but this is 2.5, right? So 2.6 be right about there, or just above the 2.5. Okay, that makes it understandable. That proves your answer because you're going to be asked to do that. And you'll get some of these in your assignment. I'm not going to go through all of them because you can rewatch this video if you're not sure, and that saves you and me some time. All right, let's go to a real question of something that would make sense in life. So this person has a square garden with an area of 139. That's the space inside. They want to know what the approximate dimensions of the garden are to 2 decimal places. So what do the sides equal? And then, once they find that out, they're going to buy some fencing because they need to keep the coyotes out of their garden. And they need to know how much fencing they need. So this is where you'd start. First of all, draw a square to represent the garden. Anytime you can draw a diagram, do that. Okay, we're showing the area is 139 meters squared. That's all this inside. And we know from our first lesson on square roots that in order to find the sides, you would take the square root of 139. It's not a perfect square, so that's where our estimating comes in. Here you can see, I don't know why these are double, but here you can see that 139 falls between 121 and 144. 121 is 11 squared, 144 is 12 squared, so it's going to be 11 decimal something. And they've asked us to find it 2 decimal places. So here is what this will look like. Okay, same question. They drew a square to represent the garden. They know it's between 11 and 12, like on the previous page. Used a calculator, started in the middle. Okay, it went 11 times 11.5 times itself. I'm just going to do that on my calculator. And I get exactly 13.25. So it's giving me the 2 decimal places I need. So then they went higher, 11.8, too large but really close. And then they added 11.78. So they've added a number before this decimal. They've gotten very specific. So when they said to 2 decimal places, they can actually use them in this number. So 11.78 times itself, now we're getting really close. And then they went 11.79 to get as close as possible. This is important because it's actually buying materials to make a fence. Okay, so going at just 11.8, they're going to buy way more material than they need. And when you're buying fencing or any kind of material, it's based on to the square feet or by feet, and you pay by the foot. So you don't want much left over. So they've found that this is the closest. You can go over, but these decimal places need to be within the zeros or closer to 139 than these ones. And the answer was 11.79 meters to 2 decimal places. And then to find out how much fencing, you take the perimeter, which is adding up all the sides. So multiply it by 4 because it's a square. And then they find out it's 47.16 meters on each side, and then they'll know that's exactly how much fencing they'll need to make sure that they cover that whole area. They'll round up to 48 because you want a little bit extra, and that's how you'll figure those kinds of questions out. Again, you can go back and rewatch this video if it's a little bit confusing when you get to these kind of questions. And I just noticed when I rewatched this that I said 13 up here. 132.25. That's not the beauty of recording live, because I can't fix it until I watch it after. All right, so sorry about that. Now again, there's another video to watch. I'll put up a couple of notes and a hundreds chart that you can print off to help you with your assignment. And then away you go. We'll see you in the next lesson.